All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Afrique 24-hour TV. I'm glad that you're watching. Kindly welcome to Afrique 24-hour TV. This is your daily live talk show that comes to you live on YouTube and Facebook channels. That is, you can find us on Afrique 24 Hour TV, Leo TV, and Mtembei TV, both on YouTube and Facebook channels. And soon you will also be able to find us on Twitter, currently known as X, and TikTok. Karibuni, 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 karibuni. It's another wonderful evening here in Eastern Africa, a wonderful morning wherever you are, and actually a wonderful afternoon, depending with where you are joining us from. So we have another opportunity to give you this kind of talk show. Welcome, and as you join us, kindly, my viewers, I request that you ensure that you subscribe, you like, you share, and you also invite your friends, relatives, and neighbors so that as you're watching this, you don't watch it alone. I'm your host today, Leo Nyabaya, kama kawaida, and I know I'm going to be joined by some other hosts and panelists. So today, yeah, I mean today, leo ni ile siku we are going to discuss something so interesting. I know you are used to politics each and every day at this particular moment, but today we're also going to discuss politics uh, in a different angle. So if you manage to see our thumbnail, or if you manage to see the title earlier before, today we are going to discuss something so controversial. We are going to discuss something so sensitive, but we just have to discuss it. So, top on the story, news that hit the entire world, news that hit the world, and everybody is talking about is the Catholic Church, the head of Roman Catholic Church, gave a green light to same sex marriage. I'm talking about none other than Pope Francis saying that yes, the clergy or the priest can bless same sex marriage. If you are a man and you're married to a fellow man, the priest in the Catholic Church can now be able to bless your marriage. So that is what we are going to look at. I know I'm going to have some panelists here who are going to help us look at it. First of all, I know most of us here, actually all of us here, we are African. And as your favorite politician Didi Nyoro says, we are Africa, and Africa is our business. So as Africans, we also have to give our views on this. So this is what I'm telling you. Somebody told me, a friend of mine, that in Rome, or is it in Latin, they say Roma lacuta, I don't know, causa finito. So those people who know how to read some Italian can be able to read that. I can give you a translation. It says, Rome has spoken. The case is closed. So for those people who managed, this is a statement that is attributed to an ancient philosopher called Saint Augustine, whereby he said, I would have quoted it in Italian, but unfortunately, I don't know how to pronounce. Sorry, not Italian, but Latin. I don't know how to pronounce the Latin words. But those people who've been Catholics, they know a little of Latin, which says that Rome has spoken, the case is closed. Meaning, what Rome has said is final. It's a general knowledge for those people who've read this book titled Fides Et Ratio, that was written in 1998 by the then Pope John Paul II. So it is a book that laid some relationship between humanity and faith and spirituality. So in that book, they still confirmed, yeah, Pope John Paul II confirmed that Rome has spoken, and once Rome has spoken, the case is closed. So in this case, Rome spoke yesterday that same sex marriage can now be blessed in Catholic. So, what is your take on that? Before I maybe start the conversation, before I invite the people that are going to help us develop this conversation. I just want to play for you some of the clips that happened before. I just want to tell you some of the sentiments that were uttered by our leaders and our representatives before I tell you or before I play you what Pope Francis said. So have a listen at this that happened when President Obama visited Kenya. And by then we had President none other than Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
If you look at the history of countries around the world, when you start treating people differently, not because of any harm they're doing anybody, but because they're different, that's the path whereby freedoms begin to erode. And bad things happen. And when a government gets in the habit of treating people differently, those habits can spread. If somebody is a law-abiding citizen who is going about their business and working in a job and obeying the traffic signs and doing all the other things that good citizens are supposed to do, and not harming anybody, the idea that they are going to be treated differently or abused because of who they love is wrong. Full stop.
Just like President Obama, I think we also need to be able to speak frankly about some of these things. And the fact of the matter is that Kenya and the United States, we share so many values. Our common love for democracy, entrepreneurship, value for families. These are things that we share. But there are some things that we must admit we don't share. Our culture, our societies don't accept. It's very difficult for us to be able to impose on people that which they themselves do not accept. This is why I repeatedly say that for Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. We want to focus on other areas that are day-to-day living for our people. The health issues that we have discussed with President Obama, these are critical. Issues of ensuring inclusivity and of women, a huge section of society that is normally left out of the mainstream of economic development. What we can do in terms of infrastructure, what we can do in terms of education, in terms of our roads, in terms of giving our people power, encouraging entrepreneurship. These are the key focuses. Maybe once, like you have, overcome some of these challenges, we can begin to look at new ones. But as of now, the fact remains that this issue is not really an issue that is on the foremost mind of Kenyans, and that is the fact.
All right,
All right.
ladies and sorry,
Sorry,
Irene, you can mute.
Irene, you
Okay,
can mute. Okay, okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys, for watching. Thank you for joining the show, and I'm much pleased to welcome you. And I just want to remind you that if you're joining for the first time, ensure that you subscribe to Afrique 24-hour TV. And if you've not subscribed to the other side of Leo TV, also ensure you do so. I know you people are joining from different channels. There are those who are joining from Tembei TV, there are those people who are joining through Leo TV, and there are those who are joining through Afrique TV. So ensure you subscribe to all these channels so that whenever we go live, you get notified. So today nimesema leo ni ile siku, and we have to discuss it. It is really hot. It is really hot. I know it is a sensitive topic that most of people don't want to talk about it. And I know we are Africans. We have to discuss this. I've just played for you a video of the former president clashing with the former president of the United States on the same issue. So before I play for you, maybe before we proceed with the discussion, with me, I have some panelists here. I know some are even joining me. And as they are joining, we are going to discuss this, and we are also going to ensure that we deliberate on it completely and take a stand. I was just telling you that in In Latin, they say, I don't know how to pronounce those Latin words, but when I'll be joined by Kenyan revolutionary, he will be able, because he's one of the pontiffs, he will be able to tell us to pronounce them. But it says, Rome has spoken, it is final. What Rome has said is final. So thank you so much. Ochuka, I've seen you've joined me. I know I have a guest with me, and the guest is only here for a few minutes. She's going for a certain meeting. Oh, I think she'll get back. I just want to give her an opportunity to maybe talk of one or two things. Then we will have to proceed. So Cornell, good evening.
Good evening, good evening.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Fine, thank you. Habari ya leo?
Ndio nimeingia tu sahi.
Eh,
Yes.
ndio umeingia tu saa hii ha?
Saa hata ndio nafunga gate niingie.
Hamna shida, tuko pamoja na wewe, shikilia tu hapo, wakati nakuja. Debate ni moto, tutazungumza. Kwa sasa hivi we are still developing it, and because niko na mgeni na mgeni wangu anataka kuenda, nimemtoa kwa mkutano mwingine, wacha nimkaribishe na yeye aweze kunena. Niko tuna swali moja kwake, ataweza kutuelezea, alafu tuendelee na show yetu kama kawaida. Irene, welcome so much. This is a Freak 24-hour TV. We are always here from 10 p.m. to past midnight, though most of the time we normally discuss politics, except for Sunday when we normally have some Dr. Shamba discussing things, the controversies and some problems facing people who are buying land and how they can be able to sort such kind of issues. That one is normally, we normally host somebody called Engineer Mora. So welcome to the channel, guys. I have Irene. She is a teacher. Apart from a teacher, she is also a gospel singer, but today she's not going to sing because the matter that we're discussing here is beyond the songs. So Irene, habari ya jioni?
Nzuri sana, labda yako.
Hapa tuko salama. So I just have a quick question. Number one, you'll just have to introduce yourself to the viewers, then you'll just help me understand what is marriage. I understand you are Christian, so based on your Christian faith, based on your Christian teachings, what is defined as marriage? So just 2 minutes, introduce yourself, then tell us what marriage is. Karibu.
Good evening, good night, good morning, depending on where you're streaming live from. My name is Irene John, teacher by profession, a graphic designer. I think that is enough for this time.
That is enough for this time. I know we are going to have another time, and we will have another show and another program when we are going to discuss much. So proceed kindly. Some of the viewers, you know, the issue here that we are going to discuss today, we're just going to discuss things to do with marriage. So I want to get the meaning of marriage from the Christian perspective. So what does your faith teach you is marriage, and how is it conducted? If maybe you can have enough time to explain that one, then we release you. Thank you.
Okay, you've asked me to define what it is. From,
You
from the
explain, you elaborate, actually, not just a definition. I know you are going to cite some examples and some biblical verses. You
okay,
allowed.
I'm allowed to do all that. Now, from the biblical point of view, it involves a man and a woman. And if we are going to look at Genesis 2, 23 and 24, which I'm going to read, it says, the man said, she shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. 24 is saying, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. The man and his wife, let me just stop at 24. So according to me, the question you've asked me, I believe it is a union between a man and a woman, according to God's designation. That is one. Two, The same Bible, you will find that it is saying that none will lack their mate, but it is always very specific from the book of Genesis. There is where marriage was ordained. So it's ordained in the book of Genesis. That is where we see God creating a man and creating a woman. And when things went wrong in Sodom and Gomorrah, God had to he had a debate with, he had to explain to Abraham what he was going to do in Sodom because of some of the dirty things that we know are happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. And he wanted to destroy it. Now, the righteous were in Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's why God had to consult with Abraham. And Abraham had to, it's like was persuading God so that specific people may not be destroyed, which we know about the nephew that was there, Lot, and the family. But when they went there, the reason why God wanted to destroy it, it was because of some of the things we are seeing. So these things did not start in this era. It was there even during the biblical times, during Abraham time. If you look at the Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 19, if you look at verse 5 to 11, it will show you where there was a miss that God had to destroy specific people because of what was not right, what he did not command in the book of Genesis 2, 23 and 24. Now, man is a spirit, because most of the time we keep on arguing about marriage, whether it's same sex or what. But in the same way, we've been justifying things that are not right. And two exes cannot make one right. So we will call things the way they are. We are in a generation where we believe we're in the 21st century where everyone wants to do whatever they feel like doing. But if you are raised in a godly family, there are things that we were taught, and we are going out of the norms. And the norms, out of the norms we are going out, we are embracing it more than what we are supposed to be doing. But I've said man is a spirit, because this physical structure is just a body, but inside you there is a spirit. Now, inside your brain, there is something like, for those who have done computers, we know that a computer is like, for a computer or a laptop to function, there has to be some software that has to be placed there. So we have in our brains, there is something we have like inside this head, this box here, this skull. There is a software that is the mind. So what Satan has been tampering with is the software we have inside here, which is the mind. So if your software is interfered with, then you'll have a funny way of believing things, and you will do it funnily, and you will justify yourself. So according to me, marriage is between a man and a woman. The other things we are talking about, we're justifying, it's just our software that has been interfered with. And if the software is interfered with, then it needs to be reorganized. The way we organize our computers, we need to go to factory resettings so that the software may be placed, the Spirit of God may come again inside. Because if the Spirit of God lives and you allow the other spirit, then you are going to have a discussion that we've been having on social media, and we've been cheating people that we can have the same marriage of the same gender, which is a mess. Marriage was ordained between man and woman according to Genesis 19 Genesis 2, 23 and 24.
All right, that is great. That one sounds so informative. And maybe, Irene, before I allow you to go, just allow me to pose this question to you. If you look at the book of Leviticus, I think in the Leviticus 18:22 and 20:13, it gives us some two laws, the laws of Leviticus. which seem to be more pertinent, and they call a man lying with another man instead of his wife.
Leviticus.
And Leviticus 18:22 and Leviticus 20:13. Yeah, I'll just paraphrase it for you. It describes that act of a man lying with another man as abomination. So maybe if you can make my viewers understand what is an abomination, because if you talk of abomination, then it gives a room for people to say that, okay, it is not evil, it is just an abomination. And the reason why I'm asking you this, if maybe you just give me a minute to listen, if I talk of an abomination, you'll find that the same book, the Bible records some things as an abomination. One of them, Egyptians eating with the Hebrews, was described as an abomination. Another thing, you'll find that having an image of another god in your house is described as an abomination. Sacrificing your child to the god of Bolek, if you read the stories of Exodus, I think, and also taking your wife's sister as a second wife, and things like eating pork. All those things are described as abomination. So making this thing that we talk of a man lying with a fellow man be in the same group with eating pork, which the Bible describes as abomination. But we know when I talk of eating pork, I know several people eat pork. So what is abomination? Does it reduces the weight of this kind of offense, just calling it a mere abomination?
Another word for abomination is detestable. It's something that is not allowed. So if it is not allowed, are we supposed to be still discussing about it? We know it is not allowed. But I've said the issue comes in. It's the software in our head here. When the mind has been changed, the software has been interfered with. You know, man is a spirit, and God is a spirit, and Satan is a spirit. So for this, God and Satan, for them to occupy they need some of the rules of creation. They need a body to dwell in. So they can only dwell in an individual by coming into your spirit. So the spirit you allow will determine the software that is in your mind. If you allow the spirit of Satan, then your software will be that software of Satan. If you allow the spirit of God, then the spirit of God you're going to have the software of the spirit of God. And if you have the spirit of God, then it will show you things that you will read the Bible and you will understand it. Because the only thing that guides us in our walk of faith is the Bible. We have different dimensions when you come to the Word of God, but the basic normal believer that needs to understand simple instructions and simple things, all of them are found in the Bible. Have I answered your question?
I get you. Guys, I know these are sensitive discussion, but we have to discuss it. We are having African view, we are having the religious view, both the Eastern religion and the Western religion. And you'll find that this story, like the story that Irene have just talked about, you've given reference to Sodom and Gomorrah, which is recorded, I think, in the book of Genesis 19. And if you look at I've seen my friend Mohammed Ege or Mohammed Ege, Karibu Sana, long time not seeing you. So Mohammed will also agree with me that in Quran, they also relate the same story that is in Sodom and Gomorrah, whereby these people wanted an access to the messenger who was sent by Allah. So it's a similar story. Religiously, they give it a similar story. But when you come to the African community, actually, we weren't that exposed to such kind of discussion because it was rare. Nobody thought of it. So these things came to be known by Africans, majorly that they can happen by the Western culture. And the Western culture, they came in the process of trying maybe to, they're trying to condemn such kind of things. So it's a debate, and I see somebody want to ask you a question. Honorable Alex, karibu na uulize swali.
Yeah, you see, for me, this thing was overdue. It was overdue because
I get you, yeah?
I live in the US, and I want to read for you a report here that came a couple of years ago.
Go ahead.
In the United States alone, more than 6,000 Catholic priests have been credibly accused of child sex abuse. These abuse claims have led to thousands of clergy abuse lawsuits. Settlements and payout for survivors have totaled to 3 billion. So among these 6,000 clergies, they abused more than 350 young boys. So was that not same-sex or homosexuality that they have been practicing? We are talking about priests. We are not talking about the members of the Catholic Church. Don't you think this was, it has been overdue because they are addicted with sleeping with young boys?
Yeah, it's overdue because I think this is not the first time I'm getting such writings. I have some with me that have, I think some 2 years ago, I received somewhere. There is a group, we are in an organization. It's an international organization, a religious international organization. And we got some letters that were written as early as 1952. And they have the same issues. So it's only that nobody have been voicing these things in public, but the things that have been happening. But it is upon an individual to decide if you want to live for Jesus or you want to live for Satan, or which life do you want to live. Because the society is soiled everywhere. Everyone is living their life the way they feel like living it. But even if people are living their lives the way that they feel like living it, it's a personal choice for you to decide, I want to live this life, and I can save the few who have really decided that they want to live a pure life and they want to live the right life. Because most of these religious organizations, there is a lot of that is taking place in these places. And some of them cannot voice the things that they've undergone through specific leaderships because they fear if they voice themselves or the issues or the agendas that are taking place under specific leaders, then some of them even can be killed because of raising such issues. So the only thing we need is for the few that can voice themselves and help people to come out of such systems. But also there is also another thing. Some of them went into specific regions when they were vulnerable. And there is one thing, when you are vulnerable, anybody can do anything. Because you are vulnerable, you cannot be helped. Maybe your source of life or living depends on this person 100% fully. So you opened up to these people and they know your weak spots and they're using those weak spots to make sure that they take advantage of you. So it's upon us to help some people that have been inside such setups that are ready to get out, because some of them are enjoying those things, but some are not. Like if we come to the male reproductive system, there are cases where we have the intestines coming out and people don't want to talk about such issues. So there are health effects that have been studied and have been monitored, and there are cases in hospitals that are ugly, that some
Irene,
of
if
them cannot
maybe
even be
if
aired.
maybe I interject you a bit and to get a confirmation from Honorable Alex. Alex, I think in his question he meant that the Pope just legalized what has always been happening within the Catholic Church, and not only in the context of the Catholic Church, what has been happening in the society. So now it has been made legal. It has been happening, and people have been claiming it is illegal, meaning the same sex engagements or maybe a penetration between people of the same sex has been taking place, and it has always been viewed negatively. So the Pope has just changed it from being viewed negatively now for it to be viewed positively. Mr. Alex, am I wrong to say like that?
You are right, because the gravity of the abuses, I wish it was done to older people. I don't know how they started it. There was a book produced in statistics, and that was the only reason it was done in the US is because of the justice system. But it is said that all over the world, the priests abused young boys for many years, especially the altar boys. They were sexually abused for years. So the Pope is is lascivious here, that they are accepting homosexuality now. It has always been part of their society, especially the ranking priests. They are not legalizing it now. I think they are ashamed that it's becoming more and more rampant. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for the viewers who are joining now, I ensure that as you join, you like, share, and invite your friends so that you don't watch alone. So this is a Freak 24-hour TV. This is the night show that we normally bring to you each and every day from 10 p.m. up to past midnight. Today we
Ah,
decided to deviate a bit and leave the Kenyan politics, and we are now discussing of something so sensitive, something so critical that most people would not dare talk about it. And that is why, even if you see, look at my screen today, I know most people, they don't want their faces seen, because they fear being victimized. I know that is what is happening, though. Some of them are having challenges with producing their faces, but we have to talk about it. We are Africans, and we are also having our culture, we are also having our values, we're also having our moral values. So when we think or we feel that our values are being abused, then we have to speak about it. And again, this is not only African. From the religious perspective, the most common religions that we know have always been against this, though there are more than 30 countries that have legalized same-sex marriage. But if you look at religion, it is against it. If you look at our traditional African culture, it's against it. And even if you look at science, science is also against it. So where are we heading as in the world? Where are we heading? Where is the world heading, specifically to the religious world? So I can also see I'm joined by somebody, Lawrence. If you can hear me, just unmute, then you proceed and speak. We just started with the same with a simple question. We are just trying to understand what is marriage. So marriage, at what age should it take place, and who is involved in the marriage, as far as gender is concerned? So if you can hear me, kindly
yeah, come
unmute.
in.
Yes.
Leo, soon talk to you.
All right.
Yeah, just continue. Me soon come back to you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome. I'm really great that you've joined. I know I will get in touch, and we are going to get more from you. So kindly, I just played some videos just to remind you of what some of the renowned leaders and some of the religious leaders have had to say concerning this. So as we proceed, allow me to play for you this. I've already told you what was said by when President Uhuru Kenyatta clashed with the President of United States of America. I also have a video of the the Ugandan president, that is President Yoweri Museveni, also giving his view and the African value on that. Allow me play it.
What is
Okay,
your
before you
message?
play that video, let me say this.
What is your message to Western human rights?
All right, Irene, you can proceed. I know your time is limited, so I'll allow you.
I was saying, when we come to Hebrews, Hebrews 13, it says, let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous. In this era, this is my parting shot. In this time and era, I know many will talk, and when an individual talks, the person, I don't want to mention because religious leaders will comment. Now, right now, it's the Pope who has commented. and the other religious leaders will still comment about the issues. Number one thing we need to know, the church is under attack. That is one. Two, if we don't pray for the church leaders, they will continue making messes because they are human beings the way we are human beings. The same way we eat corn flour is the way they take corn flour. So it's upon an individual to make decision depending on your relationship with God. Where we are heading to, as the whole cosmos where we are heading to, the spirit of Antichrist is coming at a higher speed. So it is an individual decision to decide, I want to walk with God. Because even most of our presidents will fail us where we are heading to as a whole world. Because what they wanted to do, they wanted to deal, there is an agenda Satan have been pushing, but the agenda can only be pushed through influential leaders. So if a leader will just sleep a little bit, then the mouth will speak whatever Satan wants to hear. So if number one, we need to wage war for our leaders so that they speak the right thing, in regardless of which church is speaking whatever is speaking. We just need our eyes to be spiritually alert because anything will happen. In fact, the spirit of Antichrist is moving at a very high speed. I don't know if it is 120 degrees speed, but it is moving at a very high speed, and I've realized the demonic kingdom, it is very strategic. They are very strategic. I'm seeing somebody has written a comment. Okay, it is well, but I've said right now where we are headed to, or we are leading to, in the whole world, it is upon an individual to make a decision, a personal decision, not one that is you are coerced to. No, have a strong will inside you that I want to do the right thing, because very soon they came with corona. They tried if corona could work. So very soon they will come with their strategies they are still making. Their vaccines, they are still doing a lot of things. Unless you become alert in the spirit, we will keep on mentioning names, and those influential leaders will be used to do things. Some of them don't even know what they are saying. Some of them don't even know where they are. So it is upon us to pray for them. It is upon us to make sure that we guide them also. Not you go physically guiding them. You can guide their paths spiritually. So it's a spiritual warfare. It's not a physical one. Ephesians 6 says, our war are not carnal. It is a spiritual war. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. You are being told it is a spiritual war, so it is not a physical war. So when you have to approach such kind of things, you also need to apply some spiritual energy because these
I
matters,
wish,
they're not
I
matters of
wish
physical.
Irene, I wish Irene
Yes.
could not go because I think
Actually,
Uh-huh.
Irene, just stay put a minute. There are so many
I think
questions. There are people who
we
are
can
interested.
have a debate for 30 minutes because I think we come from a school of point
Uh-huh.
that when the colonists came,
Yes.
we bought the idea of church.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of church itself, the way the partitioning of church itself was done within Europe,
Mm-hmm.
it was empires holding churches.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the Roman Catholic
Yes.
was actually a Roman Empire having their own church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these
Yes.
were leaders who are using religion to perpetuate their own political expediency.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to Britain, the Anglican was there. You go to Scandinavian, we have Methodists. You go to German, we have Lutherans. So when sometimes we loosely say the church is under attack, we actually mean the European empires are fighting each other.
The European
Because these
empires
are
are under attack. I think you say it in this way, just to concur with you, Alex. Instead of saying the church is under attack, why can't we say that African culture is under attack? Or why can't we say that
Yes.
we as Africans, our beliefs, our values are under attack?
but our culture was already taken away. We bought into the issue of the Church of the Europe because we had our own religion. It wasn't the worst kind of religion. If you look actually, Matthias and other people during the missionary, whereby the missionary of Paul and other people to spread Christianity, Christianity came to Africa. Okay, so we had elements of Christianity in Africa, but what we did is that we killed our culture. So when we look at the Roman Empire, as a superior church, then we fail to know the history of the Roman Empire itself. Of all the 15 Roman empires, only one was not homosexual. And within those ones, there's one who married a young boy. There's one who ended up marrying their own mother. So there was a lot of things within the Roman Empire to a point when we bought the issue of Roman Catholic, we did not look at the history of the leadership of Roman, because people like Constantine, they became part and parcel of the church and leaders of the church, but actually they were political leaders. And for a long time, if you look at, for instance, when the Catholic Church massacred and genocide people in the world for 2,000 years, it had dual things. It had political and what? Religious powers. So if you look at the history of homosexuality, it's not coming now. It has always been there. It is
It
us.
was there.
It is us from the African culture that it's shocking us. Okay. So when you come to the Bible, I wonder because the Europeans don't listen. They don't read the Bible anymore. They wonder what you are talking about.
No,
It is
you
Africans
know,
who are reading. It's Africans who are still reading the Bible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the church is it's a translation of the Greek word that is ecclesia, and the original church started in Antioch, Sindio, if I
Yes.
am not wrong. And the church is like a hospital, and the whole church, some are there to get married, some are there to be buried well, some are there to be fed well, some are there to con people, some are there to be healed spiritually. So it's, to me, the church is like it's like a hospital. And in the hospital we have people, if I will use a hospital as an example to explain what the church is. So you will find that those who are homosexuals in the church, there are those who are heterosexual, there are those who are having HIV and AIDS. You will find it's a mixture of people. So the only thing, if you are in the church, that you believe you are worshiping Christ, you are after Christ, then you need to read your Bible properly, because I know in the outside, in the US and those other places, they are no longer interested in the Word of God, because you will find there is a continent where I'm being told the heathens bought all the stadiums. No more crusades are taking places in those areas. So it is upon an individual to make a decision. I will read my own Bible. I will want to know more about the Holy Spirit. I will want to know about God the Father and God the Son, and I will live by these precepts. But if you're waiting to look for an individual to move, to serve God, or to follow their ways, then you will be misled. Because most of the people, even some of the founders, the way you just told us, some of them are not right. Because everyone wants to show their powers. And also, for security reasons, let me not just mention what I was about to mention. There is a lot that needs to be explained about the gospel that was brought to the continent of Africa. A lot is to be, I have some documents that I can't give out.
That is great. That is great. Alex, just a minute. Just a minute. I can see Muhammad Ige is telling me that he can't believe that the Vatican has given in. And that is the fact. That is what happened yesterday. The Vatican had to give in. I don't know if it is giving in to pressure or what. But they normally say that if Rome has spoken, it is final. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can change. If you like, you can go and form Reformed Catholic. There's some who form Reformed Catholic so that they can allow the priests to marry. You can go and form New Catholic. uh, any other Catholic that you want, but Rome has spoken. What Rome says becomes the law. And as you can remember, what the Roman empires have done, I think there is a lot that is a much negative or much considered to be evil than the good things. And I do tell people that what we currently have. Yes.
Nick, before we go on,
yes,
my question is, we right now people are crucifying Catholic because Pope talked. Do you know there is deep evil in these other things we call? It's the only problem we have. We've given ourselves names, but Pope speaking, and those who are quiet, and there are other religions who are quiet, and there is still that happening inside those churches. It is only that it's like we find you've soiled your cloth, and we know you've soiled it, and you are in the public. But somebody who have soiled it in the house and is not outside, we don't know. So that's why I've said this is a battle of a personal decision. It's not about a Catholic, an Anglican, a Presbyterian, a Orthodox, no. Because Holy Spirit is not Orthodox. Holy Spirit is not Catholic. Holy Spirit is not. So it is upon an individual. Have you ever heard Holy Spirit speaking in Catholic?
I met you, Sister Irene, but there's this thing. When was it King Henry disagreed with what Pope said, the Catholic was under the Roman Emperor. So when he wanted to marry a second wife and the Pope did not want to bless that kind of marriage, when he disagreed, what did he have to do? He had to go and form his own church, and that is how Anglican Church was founded. So maybe just allow me a minute break and play for you this.
More about a major milestone for the Roman Catholic Church. Pope Francis has granted formal approval for priests to bless same-sex couples. But the Vatican is stopping short of allowing those blessings to be part of regular church rituals. ABC's Justin Finch reports.
Roman Catholics worldwide reacting to a seismic shift from the Vatican. Pope Francis now permitting Roman Catholic priests to bless same-sex marriages.
I think that's a great step forward. I think that's wonderful news, to be honest.
The Bible just says that it's not, that you shouldn't do that. So, yeah.
The Pope's approval reverses the church's position from just 2 years ago when it said it could not bless same-sex couples, saying because God does not bless sin.
It's a major step forward for LGBTQ Catholics, and it's really the first time that there's been any sort of opening to blessing same-sex couples, so it's a big deal.
The new Vatican ruling allows same-sex marriages to be blessed separately from regular church rituals. a distinction underscoring the church's unchanged stance on marriage, defining it only as between a man and a woman. In his 10 years as Pope, Francis has prioritized making the 1.3 billion member church more inclusive. The LGBTQ plus advocacy group GLAAD releasing a statement pointing out the Pope's new ruling stops short of allowing priests to perform same-sex weddings or civil unions, but also saying it shows that LGBTQ people are worthy of love, respect, and compassion. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Alex, I think I have this question to you. I'll direct this one to you. And somebody has also maybe addressed the same over there. Somebody is saying that there are so many things that we can discuss. There are so many things that should disturb the mind of a man, not who is sleeping with who or who is doing what with who. So if you can just help us understand the relationship between maybe the morality, the values of a society and their development, maybe politically and economically, it can at least help us better move. Because such kind of losing values is what also makes us get into a point of electing leaders who, when they go to parliament or maybe when they're given some leadership position, they end up doing things that they were not elected to do. So why is this kind of discussion so important? Why this kind of discussion so critical? And how does it affect us? Because it's a matter of our values and morality. So how does morality and values affect the economic well-being of a nation?
You know, Mr. Leo, homosexuality has been part and parcel of the history of humankind. Until science, it hit the brink, and then people started getting children that were abnormal, hermaphrodites, such kind of things. Then they realized it was a wrong thing. So they said it's not legal anymore because a society of Romans, half of the society in Romans became hermaphrodites. Okay? So they made it illegal. But the history of homosexuality has been more than the history of morality, unfortunately. If you look at here in the US, and that's one of the reasons that are against Obama, the people that voted, the people that gave Obama money to become the president is a powerful group of homosexuals. Did you know that the CEO of Apple is a homosexual? All these went there, San Francisco. It is a powerful lobby group in the world, very powerful, and it controls the world. And these are people who have influence and money. So the issue of morality is no longer there. It is the issue of the decision of you can do what you want. We are not going, even Africa is not going to be able to stop this thing. Because once you try to stop it, they will sabotage you. I want to tell Mohammed, this thing will not have any impact. Once Pope has said something is a pontiff, there's nothing you can do. Everybody must abide by it. And remember how Vatican is rich. Vatican is extremely rich. Okay? In fact, Vatican is rich than most of like the whole of Africa. That small thing in Italy, with all our oil, with all our minerals, it is richer than the whole of Africa. So when wealth is involved, the corporate world and money controls the world, Mr. Leo.
And I think we can also relate it to our country. By the time we had to compromise our courts, I'm not certain, but I think we had to compromise our courts to legalize the group. Then after that, you'll find that the country got some donations, some grants.
Exactly.
Simply because I think they give some conditions. If you can't do this, then we are not going to do this. So It's like you have to obey this, then we are going to give you some benefits. It is like it's being sold to us, and the countries that have refused to do it, they will always not get such kind of benefits. And Kenya, at some point, we had to compromise on it. And maybe if you can just have a listen to this.
What is your message to Western human rights groups, to President Obama,
respect,
to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people?
Respect African societies and their values. If you don't agree, you just keep quiet. Let's manage our society the way we see. If we are wrong, we shall find out by ourselves. Just the way we don't interfere with yours.
Do you personally dislike homosexuals?
Of course, they are disgusting. What sort of people are they? How can you go? I never knew what they were doing. That's how I've been told recently that what they do is terrible, disgusting. But I was really.
One of the major issues, and it's a holdover from sort of colonial Victorian, is the issue of sexual preference in many African countries. In Kenya, to be gay, the LGBT community is illegal. They just want to have equal rights, the same privacy and equality as all other Kenyans do. Is that something that you aspire to for your country?
I want to be very clear, Christiana. I will not engage in a subject that is of no, it is not of any major importance to the people and the Republic of Kenya. This is not an issue, as you would want to put it, of human rights or this. This is an issue of society, of our own base as a culture, as a people, regardless of which community you come from. This is not acceptable. This is not agreeable. This is not about Uhuru Kenyatta saying yes or no. This is an issue that the people of Kenya themselves, who have bestowed upon themselves a constitution, right, after several years, have clearly stated that this is not a subject that they are willing to engage in, yeah, at this time and moment. In years to come, possibly long after I'm president, who knows? Maybe our society will have reached a stage where those are issues that people are willing, freely and open to discuss. I have to be honest with you. And that is the position that we have always maintained. Those are the laws that we have, and those are laws that are 100% supported by 99% of the Kenyan people, regardless of where they come from.
So
it's a very
you're going to get yourself into trouble because what you've categorically just stated is that this is not an issue for us, for the Kenyan people, yes. And you don't think that the idea of their privacy, their equality, their rights is important.
This is,
but it's a global issue right now.
It's important to them where they are.
Why is it not important
saying
to you
that it
as
is
president
not
of the country?
Important to me as the leader of 49 million Kenyans, and after, if you want to ask me my personal opinion.
What is your personal opinion?
After I finish my process, I can talk about my personal opinion. But as the leader of the people of the Republic of Kenya, I represent that which our people are desirous to be. And I have no choice, but that is my position.
Would you publicly say that people who are LGBT, gay members of the Kenyan population should not be discriminated against, should not be violated, should not be abused?
No Kenyan should be abused, should be, mistreated in any particular. Every Kenyan is protected by law, every single Kenyan. But they also must recognize that their freedoms are also must be taken into the entire context of the society that they live in. Because this is not a question of governments accepting or not accepting. This is a question of society, right?
Currently.
Yes, from the words of Uhuru Kenyatta, this is a question of the society. So now, that Catholic is one of the greatest, one of the largest societies that we have in this country, not only in the world.
And who is a
Actually,
Catholic?
yeah, Uri is a Catholic, and they are the majority. So when such kind of pronouncements are made, the majority in the society gets affected. Their thinking on such kind of orientation is going to be affected. Maybe their initial beliefs is also going to be challenged. And as a nation, we've also seen the effects of what happens. So as a country, I think we are making some other changes now that the law was not the law, but the court had also approved the rights of the LGBTQ, and now the Catholic is also allowing for the blessing of their marriage. So could that one mean that we are going to have the so said community has been given some boost, like most of them would do it, but they would not go to church simply because the church is against it. But now you can go to Catholic church and you'll get blessed. So, what is the impact in our society and maybe the future society?
As I've told you, Leo, corporate money controls the world. It's not the church that controls. The reason why Catholic has had an impact is not because people go to church. It's because they have the largest schools in the world, the best hospitals in the world, and all these things. It is not about going to church, Leo. It's because they have these amenities. And as long as you're going to take your child in Catholic school, because they are the best, people are still going to go to church. Nobody's going to rebel. So as long as you have the like Catholic charities in the world, people are still going to go to church. They've created a system whereby even if they are past this thing, their wealth and the amenities they have, some of the cheapest hospital, but the best hospitals in the world are Catholic. You can't go to Nairobi National Hospital and be able to be treated. Nowadays, it's very expensive. These people have hospitals, the best schools, the best scholarships. So they have a way that even people want to rebel, they can't rebel. That's why I'm telling Mohammed, this thing was well figured before. These are not silly people. Remember, within the Catholic Church, we have an elite group called the Jesuits. Most learned, they make decisions. You know that. So when the Jesuits sit down and make a decision, you can't rubbish it. Are you going to take your child from Catholic school because now they have approval of homosexual? How many schools does
Actually that one won't work. Even those people, actually, if there's that church that for you even to become a priest, it really takes a lot of time. It's like because they take like about 8 years just studying. Yesterday I heard somebody talking. There's a comment. I don't know what happened, and the Kenyan revolutionary. I forgot to tell him that in Catholic we have philosophers. Those guys do philosophy. I think so. Apart from doing the theology that they take in school, they do philosophy and these other courses. So they are guys who also specialized. When you go in the seminary, if you want to do medicine, if you want to do education, they have all angles. Everybody in the society is within the Catholic, and theirs is the longest training. Today, if I want maybe to become a bishop like Bishop Wanjiru Margaret, I'll just go take a 6-month or a 3-month course, then I'll be awarded with a bachelor's degree in Bible studies. But if you want to become a Catholic priest, the earliest you can maybe conduct that mass is after 8 good years. So you've just been there studying. So they're elites, that is true. And I think that is why they've mastered the art. They know how to control people. The best performing schools, the best boarding schools in Catholic. And when I was growing up, people would really revere you if you go to a Catholic school. Yeah, your school starts with the Saint so and so. So such schools were really valued than schools that were just having names without the Saint attached to it. So it's really true. And that is why their pronouncement should be taken seriously. It has got some societal effect, because when you make such kind of pronouncement, it's going to reach so many, and they are going to, maybe the way they are going to interpret it is going to affect the entire society.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling you. The way the Catholic Church controls the world, there is no village that does not have a school for Catholic. It's like the Toyota car. You can't go anywhere in the world usipate Toyota car. Unaelewa? So this thing is blowing things out of proportion. That if they survived the child abuse cases, what is this? This is now big men and big women. That was young boys being abused. They survived it. Can you do the comparison, Leo, and tell me? It has no effect. It was well thought. It is going to affect the whole world. And we are moving to a situation whereby that is going to be the norm. And this is the reason. And I've told you always to read Achille Mbemba, who has written a book called Biopolitics and Biopower, how the population of the world is going to be controlled, so that we get from billions, it reduces. Part of it is to accept homosexuality. And the target is Africa, because we are the still people. Mtu kama captain akona watoto sijui ni nani. These people don't have children. So they fear our population as the power. Okay? They are targeting us, if you don't know. Because the rate of the population of growth of Africans, if left untamed, we can be a superpower. Yeah, because population is power. That's why Nigeria is one of the most powerful countries in Africa. South Africa may have wealth, but Nigeria, its army is the largest in Africa. So that's why I'm telling you, this thing was well thought. There is no impact. Mtu asikudanganye. Because they have one of the learned, the Jesuits don't just make a decision. They sit down, they deliberate, and after years, if they start making a decision today, remember one of the reasons why, for the first time, a pope resigned, Benedict. Benedict did not finish his term. It's because Benedict was against this. And the way he handled the child abuse cases, many priests were unhappy because they were involved in it. So he was forced to do what? To resign. Imagine a pope being forced to resign. And he resigned because most of the priests were practicing child abuse. So he was gotten rid by powerful people. Now, from that time, they have been working on how to legalize it. It did not start now. It started immediately when Benedict, and some point, Benedict apologized that I'm sorry of how I handled the cases. So it did not come as a surprise. It was overdue.
Captain, habari bana?
Salama, nitumie Jex kuna le link, kuna mtu anataka kujoin. Ni aje leo?
Poa sana, poa sana. Karibu, karibu. Hii maneno wewe unasema nini? The Rome have spoken. No turning back. And now unaona kama hii serikali yetu tutaweza kupata kitu now that hii maneno Catholic itatusaidia kuisukuma ikuwe normalized, so that when such kind of laws are passed, people don't feel it is strange.
Asante sana bwana leo na
Yes.
Lawrence pale namuona. rafiki yangu Alex ameondoka kidogo maybe, lakini labda ako nyuma.
Anarudi ako nyuma, anarudi ya.
Ako nyuma ya tent. Unajua hii watu ya Catholic na mwingine alituambia this is the time we have been waiting for. Now this is the important time. Pale Bomas tunaogopa sana hawa watu. Juu penye tuko saa hii tunaogopa sana hata tukisikia watu wa kanisa. Anyway, when you see the Catholic, my brother, in any county or in anywhere in our country, there is nowhere hakuna jina Saint Vincent, Saint Terence, Saint Ward, Saint all those. These people are gonna pesa. And let me tell you, Leo Nyabaya, money is everything. Money is running the world. Kuna hata mwimbaji mmoja wetu Kenya ameimba. Pesa ina run dunia. Na ina run, unaona vile ina run country yetu saa hizi. Unaona? That is why hata Pope mwenyewe akitaka chenye anaamua vile ameamua, nani atamuuliza? No one. Because these people, they have money. They can come, watu wanunue shamba kwako leo, the following day unaona mwezi 2-3 wamesimamisha ka building kadogo ya kushika stima, kidogo wanaanza foundation ya nyumba ya pastor, miezi 2-3 kuna nyumba kubwa sana ina grow, iko na msalaba inawaka taa pale juu. Unaona? These people, they have money. And money is what is being run or what is running the whole world right now as we talk. Unaona?
So
as
money runs the world. It's about money.
Runs the world, not even the church itself. The church is using the money on the Nyuma event to run the world. If I'm not wrong. Wanakuja na pesa kuconfuse. Hata wakati wetu wa ukoloni Kenya huko walitumia kanisa kutucolonize. Na kukuja kututumia kanisa, hawakutumia kanisa bila pesa, walikuwa na pesa ya kudanganya, tunawajengea kanisa hapa, tunatufungulia nyinyi Bible school hapa, hiyo Bible school ni free, amulipi. You see?
Yeah.
Because even most of the pastors even we have right now and the priests, they were trained freely during colonial era, and right now we are trying to build like theological colleges for free. And until now, as we speak, we have even theological colleges in even Kapsabet and all other regions. They are free because of these people. Waliweka pale kwa sababu ya pesa ile wako nayo. Naona? So when they say LGBT is approved, we cannot do anything. We cannot do anything. If a woman of a president from another country can come to Kenya na aseme kama muta saini kitu hakuna pesa mutapatiwa.
Actually,
what shall we do? Even me ask you, Leo Nyabaya, what will you do?
Hakuna.
We have to sign. We have to sign. So
yeah, tunawekewa vikwazo, tunaambiwa if you're not signing hakuna pesa.
Hakuna pesa mnapatiwa. What will you say? Even in yourself, you need money. Your people, you promise everything. You promise sijui pesa mfukoni. You promise mama mboga sijui nini. Utafanya nini?
Itabidi you bought the pressure, upate pesa. We were given grant actually, and for us to be given this grant, our court had to make some pronouncement that was in favor of the group. Then immediately the pronouncement was made. The next day, tuliambiwa tumepewa grant, pesa ya bure.
And Leo Nyabaya, I want also you to put the photos of the wife of the President of America, Biden, when he came to Kenya. She came to Kenya, and later on, after that, after signing the whole thing, the money came.
The money came. Yeah, actually, that is what I'm telling you. I'll play that video later on. We were given.
These people, they are not there for Africans for good. They want to use Africans the way they want. You see, even in their countries, even some of us where we are, you cannot misuse that white person for those things they are talking of homosexual or whatever.
I get
they say, no, I'm not doing that with you or whatever. I'm not saying we are doing that in any way, maybe, but from the experience of our people, they don't want black people. They are doing by themselves. They are cheating Africans to do that for their own gain. You see?
I get you.
But
I get you.
I don't
Listen to this. There's this former president, or the president of Zimbabwe. At his 90, he could still speak to power. Just
Zimbabwe's
listen to him.
President Robert Mugabe is 91 years old, but his age hasn't stopped him from going on the offensive against the West. No surprises there. His speech to the UN General Assembly harped on some familiar themes.
We equally reject attempts to prescribe new rights that are contrary to our values, norms, traditions, and beliefs. We are not gays.
Oh, well, Robert Mugabe really not changing his tune, is he? Robin Creel joins me now with more details about that speech, about Mr. Mugabe. She's coming to us from Nairobi, Kenya, but you're a Zimbabwean. I've covered the issue of Zimbabwe for a long time now, watched Mr. Mugabe in action more times than I can remember. The fact is, Robin Creel, the last time Mugabe said a speech back in Harare, he read the wrong speech. So at least he read the right speech this time. However, same old, same old.
Exactly. Some things will never change, and Robert Mugabe's stance on homosexuality, Robin, is one that he has never changed. He's been vehemently anti-homosexual for as long as I can remember, so for at least more than 30 years. Robin, Mugabe's speech, reading that correct speech is hugely important, because reading the wrong speech just a few weeks ago to open Parliament was hugely embarrassing and has been described as one of the greatest mistakes Mugabe has ever made. He was heckled in Parliament, something that rarely happens, by opposition members. His vice president, Emerson Mnangagwa, had to hand over the correct speech later on. Some I guess, turning as to whether this was, whether he kept reading the same speech and realized it and just decided to forge ahead, or if he read the wrong speech, Robin, and didn't realize that he'd already read the speech before. But again, he is 91 years old, and some opposition and critics saying that this is just a sign of...
Yes, Mugabe, despite his old age, he kept on telling the Western community that you guys, you don't need to sell us your culture. And one person has said, we bought this kind of Christianity, this Western religion, and the Eastern religion was sold to Africans. Though there are some traces of Christianity, as Alex has said, which is true, is also recorded in the said Bible, but we were practicing it alongside our African culture. We were worshipping before, but we had some culture that is more respectful, that valued life. We had culture that valued family and also valued things like the sexual orientation. This thing called homosexuality, even though some people are saying we don't need to waste time talking of who is sleeping and who with who or that, but it doesn't even have some scientific backing. How can you back it scientifically? In science, it doesn't work. In science, even if you look at plants or any other living thing, we are having male and female. There's no way we are having male and male. So science doesn't support it. Our African tradition doesn't support it. The Western religion doesn't support it. So it's somehow a Western culture, like the Roman culture. If you look at the history of Roman, and most people, I think, are not aware that even the Catholic that we are having is a Roman Catholic, meaning the church adopted some, for them to welcome, maybe to be accepted in the Roman government, they had to adopt some of the traditions of the Roman government. They had to adopt some of the traditions of the Romans. So things that even we celebrate, we're having some celebrations that if you look at them back, you find that these things were not maybe done. It wasn't Christian way of life. These things were not there during the times of Jesus. But there are some of the Roman activities that were welcomed and mixed with the Christianity, so that they can also feel part of the Christianity. But when they came to Africa, they did the opposite. Instead of allowing Africans now to combine the Christianity with our African culture, they declared our culture to be evil, primitive, and even up to date. There's some of the cultural things that when you do, they'll tell you that Captain wewe ni mchawi. That is so primitive. But when you go to, I've visited some countries in Asia, you'll find that there is, like the Chinese and the Indians, they still have got some of their traditional worship, that they normally do some rituals. You see them doing some rituals. They're having some incense. They're burning some incense. But if you try doing that one in your village there in Kericho, the entire village will say that you are a witch. Wewe ni mchawi. They will call it primitive. They will call it backward and all types of names. So why is it? Is this one not being fair to the African culture without fighting religion? Actually, yeah.
Nyabaya, in the first place, what maybe in addition first before we go maybe there.
Yes.
What did Museveni say about those
What
things?
Museveni said that we are Africans.
Because I wanted you to maybe to play that video. I
Okay,
don't want
let
you
me
to speak for Museveni. I want you to play the video.
the video from Museveni, yeah? Let me tell
Yes.
you what Museveni
Uganda's
said.
President Yoweri Museveni has described gay people as deviant and called for an investigation into homosexuality as lawmakers in the conservative East African nation prepare to vote on an anti-LGBT bill. Museveni made the remarks in a State of the Nation address before lawmakers on Thursday.
The homosexuals are deviations from normal. This deviant, is he deviant by nature or by nurture? We need a medical opinion on that.
The bill comes as conspiracy theories accusing shadowy international forces of promoting homosexuality gain traction on social media in Uganda.
The Western countries should stop wasting the time of humanity by trying to impose their practices on other peoples.
Under the proposed law, anyone who engages in same-sex activity or who identifies as LGBTQ could face up to 10 years imprisonment.
That is what Museveni said, and he maintained it. Even if you meet him today, he will still tell you the same thing. He never changed his belief in that kind of thing. And actually, I remember at some point he made some joke and said that if you want to practice gayism in Uganda and they find you, they'll have to lock you in the room until you give birth. The two of you will be locked in the room hadi mzae ndio mtaweza kuachiliwa. So they're not like unafungwa maisha. What they'll do, watakufunga, lakini mkiweza kupata mtoto basi kifungo kitakuwa kimeisha. We've seen such thing happened in Kenya. The Homa Bay town MP Peter Pondokaloma tried to come up with some motion that is some bill that is going to outlaw such kind of acts. He really faced opposition. And even threats. He was even threatened. Some point he was saying that he was even threatened by some powerful forces. Yes.
Point of order. Is it
Yes.
that Peter Kaluma faced opposition side or he faced the side of government?
No, he faced opposition from the human rights bodies and different organizations, and people are really challenging him in court that okay, you don't need to proceed with this kind of thing. It is illegal, and some are even calling him and telling him ashughulike na mambo yake, achane na mambo ya what people do with their private parts and such kind of things. So it was really really hot for him. I'll do a follow-up to know where he reached with that kind of law, but he's one man who stood, and I've really been against it. I've really been against it in all points, and to a point whereby he was supposed to go and challenge the court ruling. He was saying that no, that one has to be repealed in parliament so that they can be able to get it repealed and reconsidered again.
So I think Leo Nyabaya, what you mean, or in other words, is that Peter Kaluma faced opposition that he's opposed, that he's told no, you don't have to.
Yeah, most people are telling him no, you can't bring such kind of law, you cannot be opposing this, it is against human rights, such kind of things.
Do you know that now from that point, it means that we have Kenyans who are proposing for such? because
But we are
it's
already
like
there.
he's facing a lot of, yani anakemewa sana kwamba mbona
Leo, do
unakataa.
you know how many gays club we have in Nairobi town?
There are so many, and if you go to estate, even the youths currently, some of them, they don't work. I don't know if there is normally a mode of payment. I don't know who pays them. So both ladies and the gentlemen, actually, that thing is selling, whereby they tell them that if you join it, then there is some kind of material benefit you get. So wewe uendi kazi kuna, I don't know who sponsors them, but it happens in these estates.
They control the world, Leo. From the CEO of Apple, Yahoo, Google, not the people in the Google, Facebook, the tech world, the oil industry, agricultural sector, they control, they are in the management. They control the politics of the US. When it comes to big money and donor, they're the ones who donate to the Democratic Party. As I told you, it's about money. Nobody should lie to you that the church can go down. Morality has nothing to do here. Let me ask you another thing. And I want you to take a good look of it. Utasikia SDA church iko na shida na pastor yake. Utasikia Anglican church iko na shida na pastor wao. Utasikia watu. Have you ever heard whereby people have a problem with their priest and they chase him in the Catholic Church? Have you ever heard about that?
No, it doesn't happen like that, huh?
That is why I'm telling you, if the priest go and tell them this is what have been decided, nobody is going to question. There is no revolt. Catholic is one of the most organized way. They psychologically swapped the mind of the people that once the leadership has said something, they could follow.
Is final, and that is why when we started, I was telling you guys that there is a Latin word. I don't know how to read some Latin, but it says in Latin they say that Roma. If I read it in English, Roma lacuta something casafinto, which means what Rome has said is final, or Rome has spoken, the case is closed. So it is there. The Greek, the Latin philosophers, like this ancient philosopher who was called Saint Augustine, said it, and even I don't know if he's the longest serving Pope, the Pope John Paul II, who also wrote a book. He did a book in 1998, and he really redefined the Catholic faith and connected it with humanity. He also talked of the final authority, which gives a ruling on a subject. Once the Pope or the papacy has spoken and have given a ruling on a subject, that is final, and there is nothing further that can be debated upon the same. So if you feel dissatisfied, then you just have to chart your own ways. So once the Pope comes today and say it is this, that is the final word. It is not debatable. What if it was in politics, then we could say it is dictatorship, or when I normally hear people saying that there are parties like ODM where there's dictatorship, then they've never been members of Catholic Church. The day they'll be members of Catholic Church, they'll have to appreciate that there's no dictatorship in in ODM and some of these political parties, as we might always want it to appear.
So it's fair to say that it is us complaining.
Yes, it is us who are complaining, and we have nothing to do about it because it has happened. So we just have to get ways of living. We are now living in a society whereby you have to take care of your family or care of yourself. We are living in an evil society. So it's really challenging for you to be able
in the declaration, did you hear Paul use the Bible?
Actually, not only in that, most of the declarations, the papal declarations, they don't have reference to the Bible or to the commonly accepted spiritual books.
Did he use the Bible verse or anything?
Not really.
That's why I'm telling Irene, when you unajisumbua quote hapa Bible verses.
Yeah, these guys, they no longer moved out of that. They give their decrees, and it becomes a law, and it becomes part of the scriptures actually that are read in Catholic. I was lucky to have been born in a Catholic background, and I might have known little of the procedures over there. Some of these things that they pass become part of it's part of the law and part of their scriptures over there. So you have nothing to do. You will grow living by them. Ni ile mlikuwa mnaambiwa hii BBI mtakula sijui, there's a term that was used. So that is what has happened, and I think Kenyans, we are now aware, we know where we are going to. Kenya is a democratic country, and Kenya is a country that most of these testings are normally done. If you want to test something, the country that is so democratic that they will even allow you to come and test a vaccine, as long as you give consent, useme mimi nimekubali, nobody will care of the side effects. This is a country that we had people's eyes being people, they were literally selling their eyes. Did you hear of that story? There was something that was at the KICC where people would go and give the information, their eyes being screened, and they get paid. It only happens in this country. There's a lot of freedom. I think we've allowed everything and anything to be done, and sorts of tests to be done on Kenyans. We are like a laboratory.
And Nyabaya,
Yes.
there is this story of the story of Senator for Busia.
Yes.
In fact, even when I was coming in the show, I was.
Oh, we are going there. Actually, we just said to start with this. Then now we are now changing. And Karibu Sana, Jex, if you can hear me, if you are around, you can now come. We usher in the second bit. There's this issue of Senator of Busia, and we know if somebody is after his life, we know it is because of his stand. He's the only senator who is currently concerned with the common mwananchi, the hustlers. He is fighting within both home and away. He is fighting on the floor of the parliament or the Senate. Ikikataa, he goes to court. He never attends funerals to go and legislate in funerals. He never goes to funeral to go and tell you that unasikia rais amefanya hivi ama nini. He will always speak inside the parliament, and if not inside the parliament, as a lawmaker and an advocate, he will speak in the courts. I think he's one single man who filed many cases in this country, and if that one could be added in the Guinness Book of World Records, I think that can be really great. So that is where we are going to, and for the viewers, we are going to end this feed, not the show. We are going to end this feed, and we are now going to start the next feed. There's a lot that is coming there. We are having the issue of Senator of Busia. We are also having the issue of Jubilee. And I know, Alex, you're going to join. You will tell us. Jubilee today had some 2 grassroots meetings, one in Kiambu and one in, was it in Nyandarua or Kirinyaga?
Why are you ending the feed? Just change the topic.
Yeah, actually, we have to change. We can't change the topic because Jex is working on another one. I think he should do that so that we just have to transfer. Because if we mix up the topic, somebody will be watching the issue of same-sex marriage. Alafu, it's so controversial. Kuna watu hata wataki kuizungumzia na kuna watu hata wataki waonekane wakiizungumzia. So we'll just do it in a better way. I think the other studio is almost ready, so tutaenda tu huko. Then wale watu walikuwa wamesema Jubilee imekufa, Jubilee imeanza kufufuliwa, and they've done a lot. They've really changed the faces there. You can see the young faces, people like Pauline Njoroge, and I think this is the opportunity that the youth who really want leadership can take charge in Jubilee, revive Jubilee, and ensure that Jubilee rises again. And actually, the intention from the meeting today, they want to identify with the Central Kenya. They want to make it appear that hiyo ndio chama ya watu wa mlima. Sasa nyinyi watu wa ponde la ufa kama captain, nyinyi sijui chenu kiko wapi, nyinyi sijui kama bado mtaendelea UDA ama mtajenga ingine. Apart from that, there is also issue that we're also going to look at. There is this issue of Azimio. Azimio inaisha ama ni nini? Of late, we don't see Raila and Martha Karua working together. Does it mean these guys are winding up Azimio? Does it mean that this bipartisan report inaenda ku separate hawa watu? And is it for the better or is it for the worst? Some will say it is good. They need to wind up the Azimio. So, Jax, if you can hear me, if the other studio is ready, you can tell me. If it is not ready, then we can wait, then ensure it is ready to rudi mambo yetu ile siasa ya kujenga nchi. So guys, keep it here. If you've not subscribed to Afrique 24-hour TV, ensure you subscribe, share with your friends. I know most of you are watching us through Mutembei TV, which is also right. Actually, we are live on Mutembei TV, we are live on Leo TV, and we are also live on Afrique 24 Hours TV, both Facebook and YouTube. So if you're joining from Mutembei TV na huja subscribe kwa Afrique, tafadhali enda pale YouTube, type Afrique 24, then subscribe and share. If you are watching or joining from Leo TV na huja subscribe pale kwa Afrique, tafadhali go to Afrique and do so, because you never know, siku nyingine maybe the other channel will fail. Stima sahii mambo yake ni ngumu. Like right now we cannot be able to project in Mutembei Facebook, but we are sorting it. Maybe from tomorrow, those people who've been following us from Mutembei Facebook will be able to get the feed right there. Larry More, karibu sana. Larry is saying that on Gay Union we read Genesis 19. Actually, we read Genesis 19, and it is what is talking about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and that is recorded in the Bible and the Holy Quran, and all these are against though there is also something that came, Larry, and those people who can maybe advise, they can be able to do their research. Something came that if you look at those books, the Genesis 19 is about Sodom and Gomorrah, but if you look at the book of Leviticus, that is Leviticus 18:22 and Leviticus 20:13, it do talk about a man lying with another man instead of their wife. It calls it abomination. Then the question that comes is, what is abomination? Because the same Bible, there are some things that have been listed as abomination. One of them was Egyptian eating with an Hebrew was considered an abomination. Having an image of another god in your house was considered an abomination. Sacrificing your child to the god of Molech was considered abomination. Having sex with your wife when she's in menstruating or is in menstruation period was considered abomination. And taking your wife's sister as a second wife or eating pork, all those were abominations. So, does it mean that the term abomination makes it appear less evil? That is why people now see that it is just normal, because if eating pork is abomination, how many people are eating pork? And they read the same Bible and they are Christians. Same for the Muslims who really obeyed that one to the letter. So that is up to you to go and maybe do more research. And if you look at, maybe some people have also tried to weigh on it. Like people will tell you that there are few biblical verses that addresses homosexuality, and actually at all, most of these are not directed at homosexuality, maybe per se, because what they do, the opponents of maybe same-sex marriage routine, they normally cite few verses in the Bible that condemn homosexuality and calling it a sin. In most cases, they call it is abomination, not a sin. But when you take it in the context, these lessons, you'll find that they normally speak not against homosexuality itself, but they are normally against things like rape, things like child molestation, bestiality, and other practices that hurt others or compromise on a person's relationship with God. So does it mean that in that case, the Holy Book is also maybe the one that is giving some loophole that makes the Pope to go ahead and make such kind of declaration? You umejua, you will be able to tell me. Somebody also told me that, Jesus never said not even a single word against homosexuality. And in all his teachings, he uplifted actions of attitudes like justice, things like love, humility, showing mercy, having compassion. And he also condemned some vices of maybe things like violence, oppression, lukewarmness, something he called having some cold heart and social injustice. But never in his teaching did he maybe scream about homosexuality. So that is the views of those people who are viewing. That is your opinion. That is what you have to say. And another guy is also saying that, the Bible never mentions or condemns the concept that we call same-sex marriage. You know, when you talk of same-sex marriage, we are having gayism and we are having something like called lesbianism. So the Bible, they say, although the opponents of the same-sex marriage, they claim that this thing called lesbianism, the gay, bisexual, transgender unions, they claim it violates the biblical principles, but they don't give us the verses in the Bible that explicitly, that is expansively address things like gay marriage or committing same-sex relationship. So those are the views of the people who think or support the declaration that was made by the Pope. So, guys, it is up to you. I think Mr. Jakes is almost done. Let me check if he is done. Then we can be able to move on.
Okay, anyway, wait for
Captain,
Jakes to come in.
final word on this before we move on to politics.
I'm asking if, as you wait for Jakes to come in, maybe I see Larry Moore says marriage is an institution ordained of God, and he said it's between man and a woman. He has never changed marriage, save for extra wife when directed by him. I think what he means that there is no marriage between man and a woman, and it is according to the Bible that he's talking about that. So if there will be any amendment of the Bible in the near future, I don't know if it will happen. What if these Catholics and the people will amend the Bible, and they say now we have the marriage between man and a man and a woman and a woman? What will the people like Mary Moore and many others say, like me? Because me, I oppose marriage between man and a man and marriage and woman and a woman. That is what I'm against of. What will Larry Moore say? Because I'm helping Larry Moore as my
No,
brother.
Larry Moore is saying this: marriage is an institution ordained of God, and he said it between a man and a woman.
Yes.
He has never changed marriage save for extra wives. Actually, if you look at the entire Bible, and there is nowhere in the entire Bible that prohibits the marriage of many wives, because the entire Old Testament is full of polygamy, actually. So that's a debate for another day, and Larry is confirming that. The Bible talks of marriage between man and a woman, irrespective of the number of people that are getting married. So, and Jesus said he has come to fulfill the law of Moses. So he's responding to somebody who was telling me that Jesus in his teaching never talked of this homosexuality and such kind of things. So he's trying to refer to us that if the Old Testament did talk and warn against homosexuality, then because Jesus came to fulfill the law, then it is presumed that through that law is fulfilled, and Jesus also talked about it. Larry, if that was what you meant, then I get you. Alex, I can see you are back, and maybe
and
yeah.
this is where we go wrong, Nani. I don't know if my thought process
Yes,
is.
that's where we are going wrong.
This
Alex,
is where we are going wrong. We are using again the Bible that the Romans brought to us to argue about marriage. I can argue this. Marriage is between a man and a woman in African context. Okay? The way Museveni argued and the way Mugabe argued. But if we use the Bible and the one who brought the Bible to us, we are going to lose the case, because the Catholic Church does change the Bible. They can go to their Sanhedrin and do what? Change the definition of things. So when they have changed them, you have no right to argue against it. You understand the problem? So if we use the definition of marriage in the African context, they will never win against us. And that is why Mugabe was bold in the UN to say Africans are not gays. That's why Museveni won the argument, because he used it. He used the African context and culture. But if we start quoting the Bible here, and it's not like I don't believe the Bible. It's not like I don't believe the Bible. These are people who can change the Bible where it has reached. Where it has reached, the things they are doing, they can change the Bible. So let's
Yeah,
argue from
they can make some amendments, because I think even the Bible that we are having is not the original one. There is a way people came together and agreed on common books, and that is why when you go to Catholic, they have some extra books that were never agreed by, I think, some other denominations. So they can change it. Actually, they can change it so that it can fit their intention. That is true. So I also agree with you that as African Christians, actually we are Africans before we become Christians, or as if you are a Catholic, you are an African Roman Catholic, because you don't have African Catholic. The problem is that we sometimes even want to solve our African problems using a Western Bible. Using a Roman Bible, we want to use it to solve our African problems. And that is why we go wrong. Even the president sometimes makes some pronouncements based on these biblical quotes, and they end up getting it wrong. We are Africans. We first of all need to identify with our culture and develop on our culture, and buy things that are positive from the Western culture, buy things that are positive from science, and through that, I think we can develop. And I think, Alex, if you agree with me, there are most countries, or there are most people who've not yet bought all these kind of things fully. They've really, if you go to countries that, like the ones I was saying, if you go to Chinese, there are things that they just do traditionally the way they used to do as Chinese. If you go to most Asian countries, and they are successful, but Africans, the only reason why we are still not successful, we still are slaves to these Western countries that colonized us. They colonized our belief. They are now colonizing the way, they're also colonizing our moral behaviors. So at the end of the day, even economically, they'll still have to colonize us. There's some things, if you try to do economically, they'll tell you that, oh, this one is not right. The religion doesn't accept this, and that is how we remain poor.
Theo, these things are only broadcasted and given credence in Africa. If you go right now in, and you've lived those parts, if you go, let's say, in the Middle East, that's not news. They don't even broadcast it. Okay? If you go to India, that's not news to broadcast. That's immorality. You cannot broadcast immorality. So ni sisi Africans tunaongea ijue hivi vitu na tuna broadcast. And that's why they've been able to remain with their culture, because they can filter some news that wants to discredit the culture of India, of China, and most of these tiger nations. If we could start filtering some of these news, I think tutaendelea kukua vizuri. But now, we take them as news, and what does it happen? It affects us. We should talk marriage on the context of Africa and how weddings were done, the process of marriage, how tulikuwa tunaenda kwa msichana anakuja kwetu, alafu baadaye tuna meet, alafu ng'ombe zinalipwa, ugali inapelekwa, unaelewa? How that used to solidify marriage.
It actually is used to make marriage not only a personal union, but it used to be communized, whereby the entire community is involved. So even if you are planning maybe these things that happen nowadays, there's a lot of divorce, there's a lot of some illegalities that are taking place, because marriage, we change our ways. Nowadays you hold a lady's hand, mnaenda mnatafuta watu wawili, it's called, how do you call it? You call it the Western wedding, or the Western kind of marriage. Alafu mnaenda pale kwa attorney general, mnapewa marriage certificate. So nobody knows about it. And I think this is what has also increased these things called the immorality in a African context, whereby somebody is married today, and because hii marriage yenu ilikuwa ni wewe and a group of 5 friends that you know, mkaenda pale kwa attorney general, the entire community is not there. Ukienda ushago unatafuta bibi mwingine, ukienda because nobody knew you. But in the olden days, your relatives would know you are getting married, the relatives of the lady would know you are getting married. Sasa ile umeenda nyumbani, hata ukishika msichana mwingine mkono, almost everybody wamejua captain, wewe umeshaoa na umeoa fulani na fulani. So it reduces those kind of mpango wa kando and these things that are bringing infidelity in marriage. So Alex, I agree with you. So we need to go back to our tradition.
But Leo, I
Yeah.
cannot agree with you because
Yes.
where is the problem with mpango ya kando? Tell me the problem with mpango ya kando.
No, Africans
You are
allowed.
just agreeing with Alex, and you are not telling us the problem with mpango ya kando. Where is the problem?
No,
The problem is not with
you
mpango
know,
wa kando.
let me handle that question.
Okay, proceed.
There was a legal way to get somebody ambao hata bibi yako anakubali, because we were not allowed kuleta hata ugonjwa nyumbani. Mpango ya kando ni mbaya kwa sababu unaficha. Ukishaficha akona watoto, your money is being lost. Lakini when you legally bring a woman home, you share things half. The children know each other. They grow knowing this is father, and they live in one compound. Mpando ya kando tunaficha. And then they end up using more money than the family. That is the problem here. And then hawako na sisi peke yetu. Wakati uko nyumbani ako na mtu mwingine. Unaelewa? Hiyo ndio shida. So hiyo jina hata mpango wa kando peke yake ni mbaya. But you know, in a Kisi culture, there's something that used to happen. We used to circumcise our women so bad, we remove the whole clit. So by the time mwanamke anafika 34, 35, they don't enjoy sex anymore.
And I think, Alex, just a minute.
Let me
Leo
finish.
Nyabaya, just
Let me
will you
finish.
finish? Just 1 minute. Just even just a minute.
You are
Leo
finishing my
Nyabaya,
thought.
Leo Nyabaya, let this one to be the topic of the next day, because our women have been misused because of that thing. We have to take this one to be the topic of another day. We will discuss the thing of our life, how we handle our women, how we handle our men. Alex, continue.
So,
Jex, you can, I can see your studio is ready. You can just go live there. I've already shared the link to that other studio, so we'll join you. So on the comment section there, I've shared the link. Jex, I've already prepared the other studio, ile yetu yenye tunaenda kuongea mambo ya siasa, and you can join it. It's already live. So, Captain.
This
yes.
was
Captain,
out of context.
no, for me, Nani Leo Nyabaya, I'm on the voice of Alex. That the topic of how we are I don't know, FGMing
mutilating, it's called the
yes,
female genital
we need to discuss
mutilation.
that thing in
Is it still
further
happening?
discussion.
Maybe the question we need to
Yes,
ask
it is
is it still
happening.
happening?
In fact,
Alex,
even Alex
bado
has
inaendelea
got
huko
another.
Kisii.
Yes,
doesn't
has got another
matter.
topic whereby we want to have that one. We are not supposed only to be in politics. We are not. We are supposed to have discuss our general life. You see,
that is true.
Not
That is
every day
true.
we are in politics. Alex, continue.
So it doesn't matter if it's continuing. We can revive it.
Mzee tu live.
Culture can be revived. So nilikuwa nakwambia wanawake wetu wakifika 35, sex became mechanical. So mwanamke angekwambia aje, mimi nimezeeka, enda pata mwanamke mwingine, wachana na mimi. So polygamy was not a bad thing. Na huyu mwanamke mdogo akikuja, the norm of the society ni lazima aheshimu mama mkubwa wa nyumba. Unaelewa?
Sure.
So hii haikuwa mpango wa kando. There was a way it was done. So unapata this society in a divorce 6-7 times, but in a condemn polygamy. That is hypocrisy. It should be a topic of another day. Let's not diverge even more. Tuende huko kwingine.
We can join the other side, guys. Okay, thank you. You know, the other one is already, the studio is already, we are live on the other side. So just thanking everybody who gave their opinion on this. We just had to talk about it because it was a matter affecting us. So Captain, asante sana, tujikute ile pande ingine ya siasa tuweze kuendeleza siasa yetu sisi kama wa Kenya. So let us meet on the other side of the studio so that we can now be able to proceed. Otherwise, hii mambo ingine tumemaliza, and I just want to thank you for giving your views concerning this critical issue.
Or I should continue?
No, you don't continue here. Just log out and use the other link. It's already on the other side.
Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie.